Welcome to Graceland Online Tutorial. Our topic today is simultaneous linear equations using elimination method. Simultaneous linear equations using elimination method. Solve the simultaneous equations. 3y minus 2x is equal to 21 and 4y plus 5s is equal to 5. Now, in solving these equations, it is very easy. Now, what you have to do, take the first equation. 3y minus 2x is equal to 21 to be equation 1. And 4y plus 5s is equal to 5 to be equation 2. Now, using elimination method, you will need to determine whether you want to eliminate y or eliminate x. But in this lesson today, I'm going to eliminate x first. Now, to eliminate x, I have to make sure that the coefficient of x in both equations are the same. Then how can I achieve this? Now, if you look at equation 1, we have minus 2x. And if you look at equation 2, we have plus 5s. So all you need to do, the 5 you have in equation 2, the coefficient of x in equation 2, which is 5, multiply it by all the terms in equation 1. And also, the coefficient of x in equation 1, which is minus 2. So we are going to take 2, multiply 2 by all the terms in equation 2. Now let's do that. So equation 1, we multiply equation 1 by 5. And that is going to give us 3y times 5, which is 15y. Minus 2x times 5 will give minus 10x. Equal to 21 times 5, that will be equal to 105. And that will result to equation 3. Now, for equation 2, multiply 2 by all the terms in equation 2. So you have 4y times 2, which is 8y, plus 5x times 2 will give plus 10x, which is equal to 5 times 2, that will give us 10, which will give us equation 4. Now, as you can see, x, the coefficient of x, have 10. We have 10 in equation 3, and also the coefficient of x in equation 4 is also 10. Now, to eliminate this, we have to make sure by the time you add or you subtract, you need to consider that very well to give you 0. Now, we have minus 10x and we have plus 10x. If I subtract, will it give me 0? Let's try that. If I say minus 10x minus plus 10x, that will give me minus 10x. That minus times plus will give us minus, and that will be minus 10x again. Minus 10x minus 10x is going to be minus 20x, which will not give us 0. So let's try addition. Minus 10x plus 10x. Plus times plus will give plus. So we are going to have minus 10x plus 10x, which will give us 0. So in other words, it means you are going to add equation 3 and equation 4. So 15y plus 8y will give us 23y. Minus 10x plus 10x will give us minus 10x plus 10x, which is equal to 0. And that will be equal to 105 plus 10, which is equal to 115. So 23y will be equal to 115. To calculate the value of y here, divide both sides by 23. So we are going to have 23y over 23y. So 23 cancels 23, you have y equal to 115 divided by 23. So that will give us 5. So y is equal to 5. So let's go ahead and calculate the value of x. Now, substitute that 5 for y in equation 2. Don't forget that our equation 2 is 4y plus 5s is equal to 5. So we are going to have 4, the y is 5 now. So into 5 plus 5x is equal to 5. So 4 times 5 will give 20 plus 5s is equal to 5. Now, let's collect the like terms. So 5s will be equal to 5. 20 will move to the right hand side, and that will turn to minus 20. In other words, 5x will be equal to, what is 5 minus 20? 5 minus 20 is minus 15. Now, to determine the value of x here, we divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is 5. So 5x over 5 is equal to minus 15 over 5. So 5 will cancel 5 here, we have s left, which is equal to minus 15 over 5. 5 in minus 15 will give us minus 3. So x will be equal to minus 3. In other words, at the end of the day, x will be equal to minus 3 and y will be equal to 5. And that will be our final answer. Let's quickly look at this last question. The question says, a factory has 80 employees. If the number of men is doubled and the women tripled, the staff strength will be 190. Find the initial number of men and women working in the factory. Very easy. The first thing we have to do is to analyze the question. Now, let's assume that the number of men is y and the number of women is z, since we were not given the actual number of men and women. So let's represent that with any letter. So we have represented the number of men by y and then the number of women by z. Now, from the first statement, it says, a factory has 80 employees. In other words, the number of men and women working in that factory is 80. So, which means from the first statement, y, which is the number of men, plus z, which is the number of women, must give us 80. And that will stand as equation 1. Now, let's go to the second statement. If the number of men is doubled later and the women tripled, so if the number of men is doubled, it means that you are going to multiply the former number of men by what? By 2. So if the number of men was y, or if the number of men is y, then if it is doubled, it is going to be 2y. And the number of women tripled, the number of women z. So if that z is tripled, that is going to be 3 times z, and that will give us 3z. In other words, when you have when you add 2y, which is doubled 2y, plus 3z, the number of women that was tripled, will be equal to 190. Take note, 2y plus 3z is equal to 190 from the second statement. So that will stand as equation 2. Now, in using elimination method, determine whether you want to eliminate y or you want to eliminate z. But in this tutorial, I'm going to eliminate y first. Now, to eliminate y, we can see from the first equation, we have y plus z is equal to 80. But in the second equation, we have 2y. And we have to make sure, for me to eliminate this y now, I must also have 2 as the coefficient of what? Of y. I must also have 2 as this coefficient of y. Now, what do I need to do? To do that, I will multiply equation 1 by 2. I will multiply equation 1 by 2. Now, let's go ahead. In multiplying equation 1 by 2, this is going to be 2 times y, that is 2y, 2 times z plus z will give us plus 2z, which is equal to 2 times 80 will give us 160, which will stand as equation 3. Our equation 2 remains the same. Just repeat equation 2, which is 2y plus 3z is equal to 190. That's equation 2. Now, the next thing is I have to make sure I apply a sign, whether plus or minus, which will give us 0, so that we can eliminate y. Now, let's try that. If I add 2y plus 2y will give me 4y, which is not 0. It means I am going to subtract now. Now, let me subtract. 2y minus 2y will give me 0. So, in other words, it means we are going to subtract equation 3 from 2. We are going to subtract equation 3 from 2, from equation 2. Now, equation 2 here, 2y minus the 2y will give me 0. Now, that takes me to the second term. 3z minus 2z will give me z, which is equal to 190 minus 160, and that will be equal to 30. Take note, it says subtract equation 3 from equation 2, meaning that you are going to take the term in equation 2 first, then minus the term in equation 3. 3z minus 2z will give us z, equal to 190 minus 160 will give us 30. Now, if z is equal to 30, we substitute 30 for z in equation 1. Equation 1 is y plus z is equal to 80. So y plus z is 30, each is equal to 80. So collect the like terms. Y will be equal to 80, then plus 30 will move to the right hand side, and that will give us minus 30. So y will be equal to 80 minus 30 will give us 50. Remember, z is equal to 30 and y is equal to 50. When we were analyzing the question, we said the number of men should be y and the number of women should be z. In other words, it means that there are 50 men and 30 women initially. So the number of men and the number of women we add initially is going to be 50 men and 30 women. And that gives us the final answer. That brings us to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you for watching this video. Please, I'm begging us, if you find this video useful, like the video and share the video. And most importantly, please, I'm begging us, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Graceland Tutorial. Success is yours.